Hello.
Hi.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Always start with some deep breaths.
Yeah.
It brought me back to Shasta the
Yep.
first time.
We were on the mountain
Were you,
just there.
were you on the mountain
Yeah,
too? Yes.
totally.
The first time we met at Mount Shasta
Yeah.
for, with Joe and the Trilogy crew.
Yeah.
That was like one of the more powerful trips I think I've ever taken that specific
Oh,
time, that
absolutely.
specific year. This was
Yeah. I
2017.
mean,
2017.
was it?
Yeah. Because it was just when I was moving into LA with
Okay.
Chad and Danny and Rylan and all the guys
Right.
were just moving in. It was
Right.
my birthday. I celebrated my birthday up there on the
Yeah.
last day,
Yeah.
and it was like a whoosh, a whole
Vortex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And big life changes happened for me on that mountain. And then when I came down as well, like I got the job offer for starting the new job that I was going into. And it
Yeah.
was then for 5 years I was working at. And it was
Yeah.
like a whole new life path, it felt like for me.
Yeah, totally.
Where were you at? in life
Shasta
at
will
that-
do that.
Shasta will do that. Where were you at life in that time?
In 2017, I can't even hardly remember. I was still in like my college experience. I was still in college at that
Gotcha.
point. So living in Santa Cruz, which I
Mhm.
still live there.
Right.
But a totally different phase of life. Totally different community of people around me, beautiful community.
Yeah.
But very young,
Yeah.
like very like figuring myself out. I
Mhm.
wasn't super deeply immersed in music yet.
Mhm.
It was always there. It's always been there, and it's
Yeah.
always like come out. But it's music for me is like very tied to my emotion
Mm.
and my senses and just like the energy that's moving through me. And so I feel like at that time in my life, I was still so. I mean, I'm also still young, but
Right.
like I was even younger, and still kind of like honing myself to
Yeah.
be able to let like how I feel and what I think to really flow through clearly.
Mm.
So yeah, I was just like really emotional.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And as an artist, you feel like, I mean, because you've had an interesting journey with your music, right? You've always played music. You've always been an artist for the most part, right?
Ish.
Tell me.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember people would ask me like, "What do you want to be?" You know how you always ask kids.
Right.
People ask kids this, and I always said I wanted to be an actress. I want to be an
Mm.
actress. I want to be an actress. I don't know how I like got that in my head. I don't know anyone. I didn't know anyone who was doing
Mhm.
that. I wasn't performing
Mhm.
at that age, but there was something in me that wanted to perform, that wanted to express, and I think that's the only way like I knew how to say that. But I was like in dance classes as a kid, and then when I got into middle school is when I discovered music. Yeah, my parents had just gotten divorced, and that was like a pretty traumatic experience for me and my family.
Mhm.
And we moved to a new place. I started a new school, and everything was kind of chaos. But at the school that I went to, they had show choir, which is like Glee.
Yes. Were you part of this?
Yes,
Nice.
and it was easily one of the highlights of
So cool.
my childhood, especially at a very traumatic time for me.
Right.
And that's where I discovered, oh, I could sing.
Mm.
The show choir director was like, "Oh, you have a voice," and I was like, "I had no idea." Like,
Really?
I just sing around the house, and my older sister's like, "Ah, stop! Like, you're being annoying," as older sisters do.
Of course.
And so that's when that started to come through, and then it's been a journey of like leaning into it and believing in myself and letting go of negative stories that hold me back, and
Right.
and discovering like what I care about and what I want to say. Yeah, so it's just
I love
an
it.
unfolding.
And I remember when you came to LA not too long after Mount Shasta, you played some music for us.
Yeah, I was so scared. Do you remember how
Really?
scared I was?
Yeah, I remember you were
like,
a little nervous to play.
I was like, yeah, when I was the first song I ever wrote, it was like I had a crush on this boy.
Mhm.
And I wrote it on the ukulele because I didn't know how to play guitar yet. And I was with some housemates, and one of them, my friend Nadia, she was like, we would love to hear your song. Like, if you want to play it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm so scared. And she was like, do you want us all to pretend like we're not listening? And I was like, yeah. but I want you to listen. I just
Right.
don't want to know you're listening. And so like everybody just like averted their eyes and like went on with doing what they were doing. And I just like
Like playing in the corner.
sang the song.
Oh, that's
And then
sweet.
I was like, did anyone hear that? Like, you know, and they're also supportive. And I feel like it was a very similar experience at your house because I remember like I I I think I was just like sitting on the couch or something
Yeah.
and you were like kind of doing something and then your housemates were around and I just like kind of started playing and then like I got comfortable. It's like that. It's always that sort of like the moment of stepping into it that's so scary because I don't know how I'm going to be perceived or like how I'm going to feel or what's going to come out. Even if I know what song I'm going to play, it like
Right.
I don't know what the expression is going to be or feel
Interesting.
like,
Because
and that's always
is that different from time to time?
oh, of course. Yeah, it's always different. But I just remember like how supportive you and your housemates were. And it always, especially back then, it would always shock me when someone was like, I loved that or that touched me. Because I was still I hadn't found, I feel like some of the confidence that like my experience is relatable. And I'm not like a crazy person that's like having some wild experience that nobody else has. And so to like share honestly was really, really frightening, you
Yeah.
know? Because what
Yeah.
if someone's like, ooh, you're weird, or
Right.
like that doesn't make sense, or, you know, just like the potential for rejection.
Yeah,
So
it's a
scary.
vulnerable thing.
So
It's a
vulnerable.
vulnerable thing putting
Which,
yourself out there like that.
to be clear, I still feel that all the time. I have
Yeah.
so much stage fright, but I have a little bit more like data now that
Yes.
says if you show up vulnerably, most of the time people will accept that. And most of the time people will meet that. And then that's a magical moment of seeing eye to eye with someone and heart to heart with someone. And that's the magic of music for me, is that I don't feel alone anymore. And that hopefully other people don't feel alone.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that. That's amazing. So,
yeah.
when you were here last, I saw you several months ago. I don't remember when it was, but you played a little set at Trilogy,
Yeah.
which I was stoked because I saw
Yeah.
you. So more recently, you started playing more, and you started making it this more
Yeah.
of a priority. It seems
Yeah.
like.
Mhm.
What was the decision or the thought process or the journey with coming back to this of like I want to pursue this more
Right.
fully?
Right. Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, I went to a concert with my best friend, a Trevor Hall concert.
Love it.
Loved the guy. And we so we were sitting there, we were watching the openers were Gone Gone Beyond.
Okay.
Don't know if you know
Don't know.
them.
No.
Look them up. They're
Okay.
also
Great. Done.
fantastic. So good. And I was sitting there watching them and they're just so beautiful. The lead singer is so phenomenal. The music is so, you just feel it. It's so resonant.
Yeah.
And I was at a point in life where I had kind of put music down for a long time. I couldn't remember the last time I had written a song or like picked up my guitar or like expressed in that way. And I was kind of like okay with it or just like being really unconscious about the fact that I was doing that. And as I watched them perform, I was suddenly just like feeling so incredibly confronted with the fact that in my unconscious decision to not make music, to not express my heart, I was making a really clear decision in life. And if I continued to make that decision, I was going to be letting go of something that was like incredibly important to my soul. And watching them, there's just a sensation of like, I want to do that and I can do that. It felt like this voice that was like, you can do that. If you want that, pick your guitar up and play and share. That's the only thing you have to do. And it was super uncomfortable because I didn't expect to be like inundated with all of those feelings. I just thought I was like going to go to a great show, which it was a great show. But I was like I really had to process.
Yeah, sit with
like
that one.
it felt just like a moment of like splitting of paths of like, do I want to keep just like being comfortable? Or do I want to like step into this sort of unknown place that scares me all the time and feels so vulnerable and edgy? But like if I didn't pick the guitar up soon, it was like maybe gonna dissipate.
Yeah.
Is kind of just how it felt in that moment. So I went home and I wrote a song.
So you went home and
And
wrote a
that's when it
song.
started, and the ball just rolled from there.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. I think so many people can relate to that too, but what I appreciate is that you took that step, right?
Yeah.
Like I think there's
Yeah.
things that confront us and it can be very uncomfortable when those things
Totally.
confront us and you see other
Totally.
people doing that. It can bring up all different types of emotions, but to know
Yeah.
like I can do that and
Yeah.
like it's up to me. Like I can choose to do that. I just
Yeah.
need to choose that I want that more than I want to stay comfortable.
Yeah. And I also think like it's a tricky thing because I'm not like I want to follow the path of least resistance
Mhm.
and I want to it's not always about just like pushing really hard
Right.
in the direction that my mind wants to go.
Mhm.
Um it so yeah, it's hard. It's not just like, oh, I'm imagining this perfect life and like I just have to choose to go for it. But it is about listening to those moments where there really is a clear message that comes through and it's like, look, you have a choice to make.
Mhm.
What are you going to choose? And either choice is fine.
Right.
They're just different. And so it comes down to like if you can listen in that moment and like choose what's maybe in the highest good or like what you most
Mhm.
deeply want,
Mm.
you know?
Absolutely. The thing that I like to focus on is the difference between push and pull
Mhm.
and also those two forces and also
Mhm.
motivation and inspiration.
Mhm.
And because what I'm hearing from you is it was almost like you were pulled towards this. It's like
Totally.
you're
Totally. I
pulled
didn't even
towards it.
have plans to go to that concert. It
Yeah.
was, like, so last minute.
Yep. You were pulled towards it and then you were pulled
Yeah.
towards that insight or that realization of
Yeah.
like, I need to do this, even though I know
Yeah.
it's gonna be uncomfortable. Like I gotta go forward through these
Yeah.
obstacles.
Yeah, exactly.
And that force to me is so much stronger than push. It's like I
Yeah.
remember on Netflix there's a Tony Robbins documentary of him and he performs at such a high level going from city to city and he's in front of thousands of people and he's just output.
Mhm.
And someone asked him like, how do you push through so hard? Like
Mhm.
how do you like show up every day? He's like, I'm not pushing. Like I would be
Mhm.
drained if I was doing that. I'm being
Yeah.
pulled by a bigger force, a
Yeah.
bigger mission, a bigger vision. This is a
Yeah.
calling, right? And
Yeah.
I relate to that so much because when
Yeah.
you're aligned with that energy, you actually are on the path of least resistance. Like,
Exactly.
it is downstream.
Yeah.
It requires effort to show up and to like
Yeah. It's
overcome.
work.
It's work.
It's work and it's hard, but it's like you have the support of that pull, as you're
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
Totally.
And
It's a subtle thing,
it
though.
is.
It's subtle because I also think there's a time for rest and there's a time to
Mhm.
put things down,
Yeah.
and that when things really matter, they're right there to pick back up in right timing.
Totally agree.
But it's like can be a little mental
So
sometimes. The
because
mind has trouble with the fact that it's not black and white.
yeah, because it's
There's
all
no like rule
paradox.
book.
It's all
Yeah.
paradox. There's
Yeah,
all these
exactly.
nuances, right? It's like yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I see the same thing for motivation and inspiration as well because inspiration like motivation I feel like to me is it's a finite it's like a battery source and
Yeah.
your battery gets depleted you need to recharge your battery and
Yeah.
motivation gets you through to like a quick thing or like
Right.
just coming through right now is like fire. I love building fires. I'm about to be able to
Yeah.
like so we build bonfires all the time
Yeah.
and motivation is like the tinder. It's like the kindling. It's like the
Mhm.
sticks that burn
Mhm.
very quickly and brightly but then they go out.
Mhm.
And then inspiration I feel like is the logs. Like once the log
Mhm.
catches fire it's like that deep burning
Yeah.
fuel source that's going to
Yeah.
fuel and it's going the embers are going to stay lit through the morning type of
Yeah.
thing. So you need both. It's like you need
Right.
that motivation too at times to like, okay, I got to motivate myself to get going here. But then you can
Yeah.
like kind of catch that wave of inspiration and let
Yeah.
inspiration pull you more further.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all these like kind of yin and yang, like masculine,
Totally.
feminine energy
Totally.
dynamics that work together in
Yeah.
these ways.
Yeah. And that like we're supported by so much more than just
Mhm.
ourselves. There's so much supporting us out there
Yeah.
all the time.
What does that look like for you? What's the support that you feel in your life?
I mean, there's like material support,
Mhm.
which I have from my friends and my family, which I'm really grateful for. I have a fantastic family that has always supported my like Abigailness. I always, since I was a little kid, people would like ask me what I want to be, and I was like, I'm gonna be something that I've never even heard of yet. Like, and I was very confident. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna be, but I'm gonna be it,
Mm,
and it's gonna be great. And like, my family never had a problem with that. My family never put on to me like you need to be X, Y, and Z in order for us to love you or accept you or support you. They've always just been like, yeah, like this girl's confident wherever she's going, like we trust you.
mhm.
And I feel like as a kid, that was like one of the greatest gifts I could have been given. And I had that from my mom and my dad, but also my grandparents. Like, I don't know. It was such a gift. And I know a lot
It's
of people
beautiful.
don't have that. A
Yeah,
lot of
truly.
people, like I've talked to so many people and friends who have, this pressure coming from their family to
Mhm.
be this, and like to have that pressure and just to like want to be loved and accepted. I understand the impulse to like follow that,
Yeah.
and to be something that maybe you don't want to be.
Mm.
So that's something that I think has supported me from a young age, of even when I've been in my like most confused stages, my most like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. My life is falling to shambles.
Mhm.
I'm never gonna figure this out. Like, I just feel like my family's been like, yeah, but you will.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's a big part of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, the other part of support too is feeling support from God, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. What's your
Yeah.
relationship with that like?
I love God. I love spirit, whatever you want to call it. Just the divine. There's so much energy. It's hard to put into words, which is another reason why I love music.
Mm.
Even though I guess it's words. I love
It's an
words,
expression.
but they always fall short
Mm.
of really describing, like, I don't know what is actually out there exactly. I don't know um in my mind, but I feel it in my heart. I feel like the miracle of existing, and I feel the depth of connection to something much greater than just Abigail. Like, Abigail's going to go away one day.
Mhm.
This body's going to go away. But something will carry through, and
Mm.
I feel connected to everything,
Mm.
to you, to,
Mhm.
people, the earth. I don't know.
It's beautiful.
It's just like we're all flowing somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have a great answer, I guess.
I
I
love it.
just um yeah, I feel deeply supported by spirit.
That's beautiful, and that shows up in your music and the way you write
Yeah.
and the way you share and express.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Music, I was sort of describing it to someone recently. When I write, the words aren't coming from my head. Like, I could never write the things that I write, which sounds weird, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like, I could not come up with it in my head. And a lot of times when I write a song, I'll be having lots of feelings, and the words come together in a way where it feels like they become a mirror in front of me, so I can see myself.
Mm.
I can understand myself better, and I can know how I'm feeling. And sometimes I can be affirmed and like sort of receive messages almost, and find direction and clarity through the music. So
Wow.
really, they're like, sometimes the songs are just like very cathartic, and like,
Mhm.
I mean, they're almost always very cathartic, but they're often full of like information for me to like keep moving on my path.
Beautiful.
I don't know if
Mm.
that made
And
sense.
made a lot of sense. That's cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when I was here watching you do your private concert trilogy, is there like the rain was
Hmm.
like kind of trickling
Yeah.
down? That was awesome. Made it very memorable.
Yeah, that was a sweet
It
one.
was sweet. That was really cool. Your music was like it was the first. It was really cool for me to see you up there performing and singing, and like as your friend, I was so
Mhm.
stoked to see you doing that and like leaning
Yeah.
into that. And that's what I want. Like that's what I want for all my friends and for everybody. It's like when that fork in the road is presented, like
Yeah.
give it a shot. Like
Yeah.
try it
Yeah, like,
because
why not?
why not? What's the worst
Like,
that's gonna happen?
I
Like
know, like, you just reroute if everything
yeah,
goes wrong, and,
exactly.
like,
Whatever is there for you is will still be there for you. I
yeah.
was just talking to a friend this morning. I was doing a breath work and cold immersion workshop with a group of Marines, Marine Corps officers,
Mhm.
and he was working a successful corporate job at a big firm, and he went and enlisted to officer candidate school and became an officer in the Marine Corps. And now he's ending his service and he's going back to the civilian world. And he was just like, I'm like, that's an uncommon path. And he's like, yeah, but like what I had would always be there. Like I could
Yeah.
always go back to the same,
Yeah.
accounting firm that I was working at. Like that's
Yeah.
not going anywhere. But like, why
Right.
not like do something different and have a
Right.
unique story and like
Yeah.
take the chance?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there can be just a lot of fear of, like, what if everything falls apart?
Yeah.
And like, what if there's nothing to catch me?
Mhm.
And I think that's like where this relationship to spirit comes
Yeah.
in, of knowing like there's going to be things that catch you. There's going to be people, there's like right place, right time. Like
Mhm.
we've all had those moments of like being like, I don't know what's going to happen. And then something just comes into your life right at the
Yeah.
perfect time.
Always.
It's, so it's like, it's just, I'm a firm believer that it's almost always worth taking the risk.
Love it.
It's almost always worth jumping off a cliff. I mean, almost
But
always.
jump and the net shall appear is a phrase that I
What is
love.
it?
Jump and the net shall appear.
Yeah, exactly. It always does. And then, even when it doesn't and you kind of face plant and it's super painful, which I've experienced lots of times, there's value in that as well.
Yeah.
And that's like the full human experience, right? It's not just about like, how do we get high? How do we
Mm,
like only have good feeling experiences? How do I avoid the pain? It's like, well, I don't think that's why we came here,
right.
actually.
Mm, yeah.
I think we're supposed to feel everything. I think that's what it is to be human. And I unfortunately don't feel like we, as a culture,
Mhm.
like have a lot of tools to navigate feelings that are tricky and painful and scary.
Absolutely.
And that is like heartbreaking to me,
Mhm.
because I see that out there, like the coping mechanism is to numb.
Yep.
But if you're numbing one thing, you're numbing everything.
Mm,
So I feel like you can only feel as much as you're willing to feel in any direction.
it's beautiful. Totally agree. And I think that I'm working on, like, this is a big part of what I'm passionate about bringing people to, is different tools like breath work. That's why I love breath
Mhm.
work and cold
Mhm.
immersion and these different
Yeah.
modalities to go more inward and to explore, like, what am I
Yeah.
feeling? Like, what
Yeah,
is
what
the
is the
sensation
sensation?
in my body right
Totally.
now? And like, let me get
Yeah.
curious. Let me breathe with that. Like, let me see
Yeah.
what's there and let
Yeah.
me explore that. And then let me have the safe space to be able to talk about that and articulate
Yeah.
that, or even
Yeah.
like the language that we have around how we talk about emotions. Like, we're not taught emotional
No.
communication or intelligence, or how to share, or,
Mm-mm.
or have the space to be, or it's safe to be able to share, or have friends that we can be able to share for real. But
Yeah.
I've found consistently that the most value and the growth comes through those not so great emotions.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my
the
gosh.
gateway.
Yeah. It's like if I hadn't been willing to feel so much of the pain that I felt in my life, like I absolutely would not feel the depth of love I've experienced. And
Yeah.
the music would not be there. And I wouldn't have become who I am. Like that is like all of the experiences I've had were essential
Right.
building blocks and important ones.
So
And
true.
so it's like weird because sometimes I like look back very fondly at some of the most painful experiences I've
Hmm.
had. Like I look back and I'm like, ooh, little
What's a moment that you
Abigail.
look back?
I mean, I had a lot of trauma in my childhood.
Mm,
Um, and then I have sort of relived that trauma through getting my heart broken a
mm,
handful of times. And those places of just like great despair and grief. Um, oh,
hmm.
so sensational,
Yeah.
just deeply sensational, and yet like I look back and it makes me smile that I'm like, whoa, I could feel that.
Mm,
I felt that and I wrote about it. And now I can love deeper somehow.
so brilliant.
It's like I'm also like, why is this the process?
Yeah, I know.
But also like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. And maybe that's not how it is for everyone, but that's how it's been for me. And I think I'm finding more and more acceptance of whatever my process is, and also like I can see over time like this, like being who I am, how I am has brought beauty into my life.
Mm,
And I also feel like a more empathetic human. I can relate to people when they're going through it. I can say, I can sit here with you. This is wildly uncomfortable.
mm,
I know this place. I don't like being here either.
mm.
But like, you're not alone. And I love you.
So
And like, you're going to decide to get out of this hole,
yeah.
you know?
Yep.
And you can. And I know that because I've done it. And like, something that can be powerful is to be like, I know you maybe don't believe that this is ever going to end. And when you're feeling that way, remember that I know it's going to end.
Yeah.
And sometimes just having someone to anchor in.
Absolutely.
And so being able to be that for friends and loved ones who
Mhm.
are going through it, like that makes it feel like it's been worth it to go through the hard things that I've
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah, it's turning your mess into your message,
Totally.
as I've heard before,
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's
you
a
can
good way to
only
put it.
meet people as deeply as you've met yourself, right?
Right.
We can only show up for someone as deeply as we show up for ourselves. We
Right.
can only love someone as deeply as we love ourselves.
Yeah.
And I see that all the time too, where and this is something the more that I've gone deeper and I've explored different emotions that come up and are present for me, the more that I've explored some of the darker emotions and the darker side of myself,
Yeah.
the more comfortable I've been able to become with myself, with crying,
Mhm.
with releasing, with sharing,
Mhm.
with expressing
Mhm.
emotion, then the better, like you're saying, the better I can show up for other people.
Yeah,
And
because it doesn't scare you.
no, it doesn't scare you.
And, like, what a relief to be like,
Yeah.
for me to have this wild emotion, for
And
you
I
to
can just
sit
be
there
like
and be
sitting deep
like,
breathing and just
"You
like,
don't
yeah,
scare me."
right. Like you're good. Give
Be
yourself
like,
permission.
"Oh
It's
my
fine.
gosh, I'm okay.
Because
I
our
can have this
yeah,
feeling.
exactly.
It's acceptable. It's
It's
human."
liberating to
Super
and
liberating.
we have the opportunity to liberate other people through that. So it
Yeah.
really is like it's and this is the whole nature. You heal yourself, you heal the world.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the thing, you know.
Yeah.
Looking at the man in the mirror, you want to change yourself, you want
Yeah.
to change the world, change yourself. So
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, well, why I'm really excited you're here. Obviously, it's great to catch up and dive down the rabbit hole of all these things that we
Totally.
do so naturally and can talk about for hours. Was when we were at Trilogy and you're performing, I was like, this was so good, and it was making me feel a certain way. Like your
Mm.
music was like, oh, it like brought me. I think this is also just part of our relationship as well, but
Mhm.
so much of what I appreciate in you as a friend is that you embody divine feminine energy in a very very real way,
Thank you.
and I love that. And for me, like I'm very very in my masculine, and so
Yeah.
being around like
Yeah.
more people that are embodying their feminine is something
Yeah.
that's very good for me because it just
Totally.
connects me back. It's just like, oh
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's
like
like
such a relief. I
it's a
feel the
relief.
same way whenever I'm around, that like strong masculine. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I love being like in a container that's held. Like I feel like I am super independent and great at like being in the masculine space, but like
Mhm.
I love just being in my feminine. Like that feels like a relief for me.
Yeah,
And like
beautiful.
I totally hear you.
So good.
Yeah.
And I think you're someone too that has like you also are very in touch with your masculine as well in the
For
healthy
sure.
ways. Like you were
Yeah.
always, I remember early on too, like you were always in your growth mindset
Yeah.
and so I thought that was interesting too because it
Yeah.
wasn't like, because
Yeah.
it's easy to be in the extremes. But
Yeah, of
anyway,
course.
listening to your music, it was like, oh, it felt like this is like almost like relief and it was just like, wow,
Mm.
this is really really special, really powerful. And I
Mhm.
was like your one song, I think it was Be Here, it was Be Here?
Mhm.
Yeah. It was stuck in my head and I'm like where is this record? Like, where
Yeah.
I need to listen to this, and you're like, it's not recorded yet. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You need to change this.
Yeah.
And you were telling me you have do you still have a GoFundMe
I have a
for
GoFundMe that's going.
great, which is gonna be linked in the show notes as well. So the GoFundMe
Cool.
is gonna be for you to record an album.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the recording, yeah, it's been like a tricky process to
Mhm.
like figure out. But I have a good friend who he and I just sort of made plans to spend the rest of the summer like really working on the songs, sort of fleshing them out,
Cool.
deciding what other instrumentation I want to have in
Mm,
there. And then he and I are gonna like collaboratively co-produce the album.
great.
And I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be a really cool opportunity for both of us to learn
Mhm,
and for me to be in a more collaborative space because
mhm,
I think part of the reason why it's taken me a really long time to record is because the music is so special to me. Um, that kind of letting go of control in some
mm,
ways uh is very scary. It's very uncomfortable. It's
right.
just edgy in that like I don't know what's going to happen and I don't I it's important to me that anybody who plays on my music, anybody who touches my music in any way, that they care about the music, that they care about the message and that they're going to be adding something to it that's beautiful for people to receive. Like I
Mhm,
don't want it to pass through hands where people don't care.
makes sense.
Because that's felt like it just feels really
Yeah.
important. And so um yeah, so
So so
it's I've just kind of waited and that's what it is, but it's
it's
happening. It's
happening. I love it.
happening.
Very, very exciting. And in
Um
the meantime, I was like, I need to convince Abigail to come onto the podcast so that she can play some music for us.
yeah.
And then we can have the recording. And then we can
Yeah,
have some version of recording that can hold us
totally.
over until we have the
Yes.
album.
Yes.
So we're gonna play some music today.
Amazing. I'm so excited.
Sweet. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So we have some songs to play, but what do you want to start with? How do you want to play? What do you want to play?
I'm gonna play Be Here.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that you like that one.
I do like that one.
So this song, before I play it, I mean, we can talk about the song after I play it as well. But this is the song that I wrote after that concert. So this is the first song that I wrote that sort of put me back on the trajectory.
Wow.
And if you listen, like it makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about being present and being conscious of the fact that time moves. And if you make choices or don't make choices, like you're moving, things are going to pass you by. And so, this was just this moment of being like, no, I want to be here and I want to take these decisions seriously.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Listen a little bit closer. All we need is all right here. Sink a little bit deeper into the sweetness being human, flesh and bone. 'Cause time's gonna fly by, that's just how it goes. Be here, be present from your head to your toes. Don't miss this part. Once it is gone, you can't get it back. This moment is all that we have. Be here with me. Be here. Sometimes in the deepest love, we're faced with our greatest fear. We want to turn, run, hide it all away. But what would happen if we stayed? Is it possible there's more love beyond the pain? 'Cause time's gonna fly by, that's just how it goes. Be here, be present from your head to your toes. Don't miss this part. Once it is gone, you can't get it back. This moment is all that we have. Be here with me. Be here with me. Oh, all is here. Let love shatter your fear. All is here. Let love shatter your fear. Shatter your fear. 'Cause time's gonna fly by, that's just how it goes. Be here, be present from your head to your toes. Don't miss this part. Once it is gone, you can't get it back. This moment is all that we have. Be here with me. Be
so freaking good. Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much to say, so many questions.
Yeah.
But
Fire away.
anything present after playing that for you right now?
Yeah. Something that's really special about music is that sometimes, like, when I write a song, it really like hits in a specific way, and then time passes, and then I sing it, and I go, "Oh, new message just came through. That means something totally different to me now," or like I understand that lyric better. And in the beginning, there's a lyric about flesh and bone, like leaning into the sweetness of being human. And that's something that feels like really on my heart right now, and really present for me, is like to appreciate the opportunity that I have to be a human being. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's just been coming through.
I love it. That's very cool. That's also why some of my favorite books I reread all the time, because you read it and you're like, oh my God, this is a whole different book.
Yeah.
There's like a few books like that for me that are just like The Way of the Peaceful Warrior is one of them. The Alchemist is another one. Like, I could read those books, and I do read them about once a year, because every single time I read
new stuff.
It's new stuff.
And you just understand it differently because you've had new experiences. And it's a cool thing, and it's really cool to like have written the song. And that's where I'm like, I really like feel like a channel for the songs to come through, but I don't always understand them fully, like because they're not coming from up here. And so I yield to the music. It has a lot to teach me.
It's beautiful. What's the first lyric of that song? Come closer.
Listen. I like can't remember the lyrics unless I sing them.
Okay, can you sing them?
Sometimes people ask me to like tell stories about the songs, and I'm like, ooh, what was that one about? Like, I can't remember. When I'm singing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what it is.
All right, so you can
but sometimes it's hard. Listen a little bit closer. All we need is all right here.
Yes, listen a little bit closer. All we need is right here. I love that, and I'm like picturing you at the concert, like listen a little bit closer. And what I take from that is like, it's like that's a message from intuition, from spirit, from divine, from God, of just like, listen a little bit closer. Like your intuition is whispering, and all we need is right here. Listen closer. And I love that, of just like, listen a little bit closer, because the intuition, I always say, like, the intuition whispers, and it's our job to listen to that.
Yeah, totally.
We can tune our ability to listen to that. The more we listen, the louder that gets too.
Exactly.
But it's like, listen a little bit closer, because this is your life right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly.
That's so cool. So I didn't know that was the song. That was the first song that you wrote after that.
Yeah, after that concert. And it just like flowed through like in an hour or something, like really, really quick. And
amazing.
Yeah.
I thought the song was the one you wrote when you were like camping or surfing on that trip. Do you remember what that one is? Was that not that was a different song?
Different song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you played both those trilogies.
Yeah.
So I connected.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I played lots of songs, said lots of stories.
Camped lots of times.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So what's next?
Another song? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Another song.
I think I will play the song Gravity.
Gravity. Great.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I always make jokes at shows, because I am like really good. This is a capo. I don't know if you know that.
I do know that it's capo.
It basically it can change the key of the song.
Right.
And I'm like notorious for putting it on the wrong spot. And then it's like really fun when you get to like the high note and you're like, wow, I'm in a key much higher than I anticipated. Or when you're playing with other people and they're like, hey, this is wrong.
Yeah.
I always have to count. I never trust myself. It's on number 8. Yeah, the song is called Gravity. Yeah, we can talk about it after I play it. I can feel the weight of you anchoring me down from the other side. Somehow the weight of you makes me feel like I can fly. But can I trust this feeling? 'Cause I've already fallen. My heart is yours, I'm all in. Take me wherever you want me to go, I'll be waiting for your energy to come find me. Find me, you said it's just like gravity. When it's right, just wait, you'll see. Gravity, gravity, the wave is coming now, and I know I wanna catch this ride. It's time to trust myself. No more that fight or flight. No, I won't stand paralyzed, begging for one more sign. I've seen all I need to see. Take me wherever you want me to go, I'll be waiting for your energy to come find me. Find me, you said it's just like gravity. When it's right, just wait, you'll see. Gravity, gravity, and I'd rather make myself vulnerable to devastation again than wonder how far I could have gone if I had only opened my heart again. The risk is high and it's only growing, the fear to jump without fully knowing what comes next, and if it'll all be worth it in the end. Take me wherever you want me to go, I'll be waiting for your energy to come find me. Find me, you said it's just like gravity. When it's right, just wait, you'll see. Just wait and you'll see. Gravity, gravity, I can feel the weight of you anchoring me down from the other side.
Let's go. Oh, so good.
Should I just like stay in this setup?
I think that's actually a good idea.
I think so
The
too.
audio still good on her?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel so lucky. I'm like getting a private concert
Totally.
over here. I'm like, this
That's
is
my favorite though, actually. Like I love
Really?
a small show. I love to just play for friends. I love to play, when people are available.
Yeah. Oh, lucky me. Thank you. So freaking good. Okay. What's present for you after playing that?
I was just like really feeling that one. I think like the main thing this song is bringing up for me right now is just surrendering to the flow of life and energy and spirit. And the metaphor of gravity is like, oh, I can trust gravity. I know that gravity
Right.
exists, right? We're sitting here.
Yeah.
We're not floating.
You don't have to believe in
You don't have
gravity
to,
working
like
or not.
it
just
just,
it works. It's
I
there.
know it because I
Yeah.
feel it and I'm experiencing the reality of it.
Right.
And so this song was really coming through as like, okay, like things feel so scary and unknown, and I want to be able to trust that everything that's meant for me is going to fall together, but I haven't had I'm still having the experience of that. And so it's like kind of trusting something maybe you have felt before, but still feels subtle and not, I don't know, not so Words are so hard for me. It's just it's having faith. It's having faith that the things that are meant for you will absolutely fall together, and like you can't stop that, for better or worse, for hard times, for good times. Like it's going to happen. So like relax, enjoy the flow, like let yourself be moved in the direction you feel moved, and enjoy that. Like what a beautiful, it's like flowing down a river. It's so beautiful, and you're like, I know we're going to the ocean, but like I don't know what the journey's gonna be. And it's so scary, but also thrilling and magical and wonderful, because like in doing that, in surrendering, life becomes more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. And the things that happen, the things that end up being for me, are better than what I would have come up with.
100%.
Yeah. But it's truly a terrifying place to be, because you're like, well, but it could go the other way.
Yep.
But it could go the other way.
But that's the fun, you see.
Right? Somehow it
Somehow
is.
that's the fun.
Something in me deeply believes that. So despite the fear, I'll always, I know that I'll always move towards love. Even if sometimes it's sticky, or, you know, sometimes I need a break, or sometimes I'm not feeling super brave. I know that pulls me a lot stronger.
So beautiful.
So I don't know if those are some of the things
great.
that come up.
And when did you write this song?
I wrote this song like last fall.
Okay.
After I think I had just started playing shows. I think I just had my first like concert. And I was feeling there's sort of two parts of the story. The first part of the song is more about a relationship that I have with someone who I love so, so dearly. And I was discovering how much I love them, and like how vulnerable of a place that is to be, of being like, whoa, like you could hurt me. Like you absolutely have, like you are into that deep level of like, I can't control what happens next. And so like the first verse is sort of me being like, can I trust this? This feels really trustworthy. And it just feels so incredibly vulnerable. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm jumping. Like I'm jumping even though I don't know. And just trusting that like it's all gonna be okay. And it has been. Which is great.
Good.
And the second verse was about my relationship with music. And feeling like it was this great wave that was kind of moving through my life. And it also feels very scary, very unknown, very like I don't know how to put all of these pieces together to make something of this exactly. But I know I want to catch this wave. Like I know I want to go on this ride, despite the fact that it's terrifying. And so both of those things were sort of happening at the same time and came through this song. And it's just like a beautiful affirmation to me of like moving towards things that you love is never going to be the wrong choice. It might always be very scary, but it's never going to be the wrong choice. And just trust that.
Beautiful.
Just trust that. Let go of the rest if you can. My mind, my wheels spin, you know, the wheels
spin.
Practice,
though, right?
But sometimes, and it's like, okay, like the wheels are spinning. I'm still walking in that direction. Like my mind's not silent, but like it doesn't even need to be. Like I can also accept all of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. It's funny that this morning I listened to Abraham Hicks a lot and on the YouTube videos and the video, Abraham was saying, literally this morning, it was on like the law of attraction and law of gravity, and like you don't have to believe in gravity to know that gravity's working. It's like you ask someone, do you believe in gravity and the law of gravity? It's like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
It's the same thing with the law of attraction. It's like, do you believe in the law of attraction? It's like whether you believe in it or not,
like it's happening.
It's happening.
Exactly.
And it always has been and it always will be.
Yeah.
So I thought that was amazing, and I think it's a great way of like almost visualizing or personifying this force of God, right? It's like we have this force of
Absolutely.
gravity that is happening
Yeah.
always that we
Yeah.
can measure and say, and we're just able to measure. You can't see it, but it's happening. You
Right.
can't really feel it, but we
Right.
know that it's happening.
Right.
And what if there's another force called God, Spirit,
Yeah.
Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
that is a force for
Or
good.
all of the above.
Or all of the above, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then when you switch to the like
Strumming.
that one part, that was beautiful. There was a line in there.
Like in the chorus?
Not in the main chorus.
Oh, in the bridge.
In the bridge. The bridge was
yeah,
fire. The
thank
bridge
you.
was absolute. You were dropping bars.
Thanks.
The bridge was lit. So
yeah.
Can you sing the bridge part again if you can get there?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I moved this. 8.
There you go.
It goes. Do you want me to like full out sing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I always get nervous because sometimes I mess up the bridge, but it is like I want it to be this sort of impactful moment. So when I like mess it up, I'm always like, "Ooh,
you nailed it."
That just let the energy out. But
okay.
It goes. And I'd rather make myself vulnerable to devastation again than wonder how far I could have gone if I had only opened my heart again. The risk is high and it's only growing, the fear to jump without fully knowing what comes next and if it'll all be worth it in the end. Take me.
Oh, so good. Yeah, that's fire. The I'd rather open my heart to be vulnerable for devastation than not.
Yeah.
That one really spoke to me.
Yeah. It just always is worth it. And I think that there are times when it's okay, like especially like when you've just been hurt or when you're feeling deep grief or something like, right, that's not necessarily the time when I'm like, well, I want to go be wide open in the world.
Right.
Like it makes sense to kind of collect and heal and be in a smaller container. That's a place that's really important to me. But then I always know I'm going to go back to the place of being ready to be open and like be vulnerable to letting love come in and move out and to trusting people and to trusting life. And the lyric that really is resonating with me at the moment is the end of that, which is the risk is high and it's only growing, the fear to jump without really knowing. And I feel that so deeply at this point where I'm like, dang, the risk just keeps getting higher and I keep jumping, right? And then you're like, oh my God, there's another ledge to jump on and it's even higher and it feels even riskier and it feels even more sensational and terrifying and exciting. There's always more somehow. There's always more and it's always worth it.
Yeah, and that can be challenging. I relate to that right now as well because it almost feels like the stakes keep getting higher.
Yeah.
And I've felt that within my business being in year 3 of our business now and like growth and we've got 14 team members. We have a 7-figure payroll. It's like that level. It's like that's crazy to think about. And to think about like, oh, it's just like now there's more, and then that means there's more to lose in a way, right? Or there's more.
Totally.
Like we need to be more safeguarded, and it's like scary because the stakes are higher. And I catch myself every time I go there because I'm like that does not serve me. Like that energy there, that relationship, that does not feel good. What feels good was how we got here, which is being light and
trusting
and knowing that like this is fun, we get to do this and like it's all at the end of the day we're all gonna die anyway, so it's all good. So totally. I relate to that as well of just like the stakes, the risk is like getting higher, but I think that to me kind of like brings me back to like, okay, but it's like don't sweat the small stuff. At the end of the day, it's all small stuff.
Totally. And like we want to grow.
We want
things to be more.
Privilege, right?
We want, and it's not more as if like we don't have enough. It's just like evolution.
Expansion.
It's just expansion. It's just growth. That feels like healthy and natural.
It's literally what
as far as existence goes, right? And it's a beautiful thing. It's also like, oh my gosh, if there's only more ahead of me and only growth, it's like, holy, like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that looks like. Like
well, the funny thing too is like, one of the things I love with Abraham Hicks, Abraham's always like, like in your physical, like if we were standing in your physical shoes, or like you humans are so funny because like you ask for all these things and then you receive them, but you're like, oh my God,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
It's like we
Oh,
ask for all
yeah.
the growth. Like we want growth.
No,
we
we want it,
more.
and then we're like,
And we
why
come to
is
just
this
like, this is
happening?
like, yeah.
No, it's so funny. I try to be really careful about what I ask for too, especially if I'm specifically saying it out loud, because what I've noticed when I look back, I go, oh shit, like I ask for things that I don't understand. I imagine like, oh, if I have X, Y, and Z, it's going to feel this way.
Right.
And then I get those things like clockwork I've seen.
Yeah.
And then I realize like, oh, this thing isn't what I thought it was. And you know, sometimes it's never like a negative thing. It's just like, I feel like I've received a lot of like lessons through that of being like, be careful what you wish for. And now, as far as like when I do, because I do have desires in my heart, I do have dreams and things that feel like part of my path and that I feel connected to, and that I know the universe knows that I want. But I like two things. I like to follow up whenever I catch myself asking for something, also saying, or whatever's in my highest good.
That's great.
Because if that isn't it, I don't actually want it. Even though I think I do, like I know that my mind is not like, my mind is not the captain.
Right. You can't see the bigger picture.
Yeah, like there's so much I don't know, so much I can't see. And I just really want what's in my highest good. And another way of operating and like setting intentions or having dreams or asking is asking more for like what I want to feel. I want to feel deeply loved. I want to feel deeply seen. I want to feel joy. I want to feel like my life matters. I want to feel like, you know, because those vibrations, I'm like, I could have nothing, but if I feel that way, I have everything.
Yes.
And so it's like, I don't even care what it looks like. I care how it feels, right? Because we've also all had the experience of having what on the surface level looks a certain way. It looks so good. You have like the coolest clothes, like just like the material things, but you feel hollow inside. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not interested in that experience.
Yeah.
It's painful.
So well said. And the greatest, I think, irony, comedy, paradox of the universe too, the way that this world works is that I've found repeatedly that when I focus on that function, like you're saying, why do I want this thing in the first place? What will it bring me? If I focus on that feeling, like you said, you can feel that now, and you can feel that without the thing. And when you do that, guess what? The thing comes. It just happens
things
to
that are
show
going
up.
to amplify that.
Things amplify that feeling. So I always like to say it's people as well, like focus on function over form, because the form, the idea of the form that you want, I think that we've kind of, especially in the self-development space and entrepreneurial world, I think we've kind of gotten off track with like manifestation and like be super specific about your goals and your desires. And like, I'm always struggling with this because it's such a both sides of the coin. Yes. And for me, but it's like, yes. And also like, what if the form is even greater than you can imagine? And then you're limiting yourself to that. So
exactly. I think there's like a quality of like just staying really humble of like, I don't know very much.
Yeah.
I don't know very much at all. And I do feel like I've learned a lot, but it's still only the tip of the iceberg. And there are forces out there that know better than me, that are supporting me, that are guiding me. And I would much rather yield to them because over and over and over, I notice that they know better and that I'm never unhappy when I go in that direction. I'm never unhappy with those choices. Sometimes I'm very uncomfortable,
right?
You know, but I always see that it was worth it. And it's better than the way that I would have chosen if it was just up to me. The other thing is I don't want to do it alone. I don't want, like, I am good at being the captain of the ship. I like to do that sometimes, but mostly I like to be in a more collaborative spirit. And I feel that way, like in my sort of spiritual relationship with the universe, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, but also that way in community. Community has become something that feels very important to me, and like something that I have a deep desire to foster, because we're not supposed to do this alone. And we have so much more value together than we could ever have individually.
Amen.
And we live in such a society that values individuality and what can you do on your own. And like, just do whatever you have to do to get there. But like that seems like a big waste of energy, right? Because like if I have certain skills that come through really easily for me and just like effortlessly, and you have other skills that come through really effortlessly from you, like if we share those, we both have a lot more than we did before. And neither of us, like, we're thriving, right? We're not surviving.
Right.
It's
exponential.
It's so much more.
Yeah, it is.
So,
and when you can find those people that have complementary skill sets too, where it's like,
oh my gosh, it's amazing.
It's amazing. Like
I'm like, oh, I don't have to cover that aspect, but I can still enjoy that. And like, don't worry, like I've got this thing covered.
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, lovely. I think we have time for one more song.
Okay, amazing.
So
gosh, what song? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna sing a new song.
Cool.
Which I'm not sure what I'll say about it after.
Okay.
Because I'm still feeling lots of feelings around it and like kind of processing it. But I wrote this song a couple weeks ago. It's called "The Mountain We Call Bliss," parentheses, eternally one. Great. Very long title.
Important parentheses. Great.
Yeah. Hopefully I can get through it without messing it up. Two souls eternally entwined, unbound by rules of space and time, looking deeply now, eye to eye. In spirit all things become aligned, hearts open, senses come alive, mind may never comprehend, and words fail to define, but I'll keep running, back to you, back to this, back to the mountain we call bliss, back to truth, back to love, back to you where I know that I belong, call that place my home. I'm forgetting the next verse, hold on.
Run it back.
It matters not which paths we take, side by side or oceans away, to rivers blessed by destiny, always find their way to the sea. Life is a playground to be explored. We came here wanting to taste more, but I know when the time is right, you'll meet me in that holy light. I'm always running, back to you, back to this, back to the mountain we call bliss, back to truth, back to love, back to you where I know that I belong, call that place my home. Call it my home, I call it my home. No matter how far we go, I'm always on the path back home. Oh, I'm always on my way, I'm always on my way. Back to you, back to this, back to the mountain we call bliss, back to truth, back to love, back to you where I know that I belong, call that place my home. Back to you, back to this, back to the mountain we call bliss, the mountain we call bliss.
Yes. This is fresh off the press. You said you wrote this a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Oh, it's an instant classic.
Thank you. It feels good.
Mm.
Feels good to sing that one.
What's present for you after singing that one?
Just love. So much love. That song is about like being in a space of deep love, and like that's sort of the entirety of it, and just this feeling in myself of like I'm always moving towards that, you know.
Coming back to
it. It's always, no matter what direction I'm running, that is what is ahead of me, is being in that state of heaven, really, which is just being in like the deepest love, which is available to us all the time, in fact.
Right.
And we're human, and like we've got lots of like material world things to deal with, and
we gotta pay rent.
Yeah, we gotta pay rent. Like I gotta make that pottery. Yeah, but that is what is there for us. Is that realm which feels like heaven, you know?
Yeah. And I also love that the lyrics were back to love, back to truth, back to this, back to the mountain we call bliss, like back to, it's a returning to.
Yeah, it's constant.
It's a return, and which means that like we know that place, we have that place accessible within us, and it's returning back to that. It's our birthright. Like that's who we are at our core.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peeling back the layers and coming back to that.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere either. It's not going anywhere. It's about my relationship, my relationship to returning to it, and that continues to grow. I hope. Yeah. I hope the magnetic quality continues to grow.
Yes.
I think it will.
Well, I wish that we could I want to hear every one of these songs, keep going, but we're going to have to wrap here for now. Thank you for sharing your gift.
Of
truly.
course.
It's one of the things that I admire the most is when I see people that are sharing their gift.
Thank you.
Because I think it gives people permission to do the same way that concert did for you.
Exactly. It does.
I love live music. It doesn't even, music is when you see it so clearly too, but it doesn't have to be music. It can be anything. I remember I was also moved more recently. I was at the airport and I had to go get some ticket fixed at the counter at United or Delta. And the woman there was like, this is like 6 a.m. She's beaming, she's smiling, she's so happy, she's like so helpful. And you could just tell, it's like, this is a woman, she's doing like in this work of service and customer service and hospitality, if you will, like she's doing what she's supposed to be doing, and she's so overflowed and happy about that, and that's so contagious, and that was so touching of just like, that's so touching and so inspiring to see someone, whatever it is. You could be working a counter at airport, but still be bringing that energy and that exuberance. You could be on the stage in front of a lot of people. You could be making art and expressing yourself over here in the background, whatever it is. But seeing people that are sharing their gifts is like, that's the juice. And so thank you for sharing such a beautiful, beautiful, truly tremendous gift that you have. And I was getting some like visions and flashbacks, and like many, many years from now, like this podcast is going to age really well. And like, you're going to look back at this podcast and you have all these albums and like everything that you ever want, whatever that is, like it's going to go back and be like, oh yeah, this is cool. So to future Abigail and future Joshua, listen back to this in years, like good work.
This will be a fun memory for sure. We'll do it again too.
Many times. Many times.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Anything you want to share in closing here with anybody listening, or?
Oh man. Well, really, I just want to thank you for having me. It's been like so wonderful to just reconnect and just vibe. I feel like we could talk forever, and I appreciate you for holding this space and helping to find the others.
That's what we do here.
Yeah.
All right. Love you lots.
Yeah, love you too.
Thanks.